This is EA Sports College Football 25. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. That's right, NCAA Football is back after a decade. That's right, it's been a very long time since the most recent entry in the series. It's back, it's rebranded, and it's ready to go as college football. And I imagine this will be something we'll be enjoying for many, many years to come. And I look forward to covering it in the years to follow. And yeah, it's kind of really, really exciting to see this return. And honestly, a little bit of strange nostalgia, which I didn't even realize I necessarily had when I first popped this in. Playing as Notre Dame, saw basically the mascot pop up. I was like, oh, that is a weird feeling. I haven't it was very, very odd. It's hard to describe, I guess, the emotions of seeing that for some strange reason. It didn't even come to mind, and then I saw that, and I was like, wow, that is something I remember from a long time ago. So we've got a wide range of unique ways to dive in and play, well, basically the sport of college football. So you may be wondering, well, we have Madden, it's like we have the NFL. What's the difference here? What's the big thing that kind of separates those? And what it really boils down to is atmosphere. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of the stuff here really is borrowed from Madden in terms of like a launching off point, but the game does have its own unique identity, gameplay style, and scope. But yeah, it's the atmosphere. It's the sense of being in a college environment, the music, the cheers, the chants, the pre-game celebrations, the way things are presented, the atmosphere of the crowd, everything like that kind of makes the experience special, unique, and distinct for what used to be NCAA is now EA Sports College Football. So kind of just giving you a bit of a context for that. So there's 134 schools that are included. I believe most of them have like mascots and special celebrations and detailed stadiums recreated in order to simulate the experience. And yeah, it's just kind of awesome that that is presented in this way. And it really looks great and it plays very well. So let's dive into the technical elements of this experience. So at the forefront here, they've got like CampusIQ tech, so it's supposed to like have an element of like a new composure system, wear and tear, the screen shaking of the crowd, which personally I had to turn off. So there's this weird setting that I think is nauseating. They kind of do it in Madden as well. I think it's a dumb thing. So you see in the top right there, there's the stadium pulse. And the idea of having like momentum or team crowd stuff is really cool. But they do this nauseating thing where the entire screen shakes and kind of waves. It actually made me feel sick. So I had to turn that off by going to dynamic camera effects and turning that off. And it didn't turn off until I started another match. So just keep that in mind if you're feeling ill or nauseous or wondering why your screen is shaking in some terribly awkward way when you're just trying to prepare to make a play. That's why. So what are we getting here? It's a 4K resolution, 60 FPS, there's HDR support, there's spatial sound support, and there's ray tracing, which is the lighting system it looks like. I will mention that cutscenes are coming across as 30 FPS, which is, again, something we see in Madden. So if you are wondering about, for some people it's a little jarring, but you can tell that, the fidelity of, the player, model bodies and stuff like that jumps up like crazy. So that's what we're getting there. But, yeah, ray tracing, illumination, and it looks fantastic. I am a little surprised, though, that we don't have a 120 FPS mode. Madden has that. This is using Frostbite. I know it's a current gen pushing title, so maybe they just weren't ready to introduce that this year, or maybe I'm missing something in that regard. I'll update it in a comment on the video thing if it does happen, but this is the full version of the game, so I'm a little surprised about that, and I'm kind of wondering why it is missing. Or I looked through all the settings and everything I could, and I just literally could not come across it, so I don't know what the situation is there. And yeah, so I can't talk for that mode. Now, I did, while playing over quite a few hours here, have console shutoffs. So this game does seem to exhibit something where, like, literally my entire console shuts off, and I have to get up and turn it on again. So that's something to keep in mind. Outside of that, it's all very smooth running for performance and stuff. There are some little technical bugs and things that I'm, really willing to overlook because this is the first entry in what's probably going to be a very long-running series. If some of the stuff is still there in later entries, a couple of years from now, I'm probably going to, complain about it then. But, like clipping issues or some, sort of weird little technical things here or there on the presentation. Nothing that's, like, a really big deal, but, people phasing through other people. The crowd, which looks really cool and dynamic when you kind of get up close, and sometimes during certain scenarios, the crowd basically just does, like, the same movement awkwardly, and they look terrifying, like plastic animated characters. Like, what they've done is essentially the close-up people, they give, like, high character models, and then in the medium crowd, it's just, like, really, really low res, and it's terrifyingly plastic, and when you see them do, like, the same movement animation, like hundreds of NPCs at the same time, during some cutscenes, it's, like, really creepy looking. So, just a bit of I think, like, not a big deal at all, but it's just little presentation things like that where I'm trying to, like, get across. Wow, I can't believe they didn't get that. There's some little, like, polishing things here or there that need to be cleaned up over time, and very, very easy things to fix. So locally, you can have 2 players online, 2 players. You've got your different options in regards to. Oh, why did I throw that? That was so bad. I got a lucky break there with them not getting the field goal, and then I just throw a terrible setup there. Okay, so let's talk a bit about the different modes. So we've got a few different ways to play. We're in play now, so you just dive in, you set up the different teams. Rivalry setups can happen, certain special games can happen. Oh, and the cheerleaders need more dynamics to them. There's way too many scenarios where the cheerleaders are just doing, like, push-ups, and then there's, like, people in army fatigues doing push-ups too, and there's just, like, a lot of people doing push-ups on the side of the fields. A lot. And it's really weird that keeps happening. I don't know why that is so common, but yes, it's just like I said, like, presentation things like that I think need a little bit of working on this one in the future. And then there's, like, these weird, like, slow loading things between, like, little jarring transition things sometimes where it's a little awkward, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to get to, is, like, little polishing stuff, but stuff they can easily fix even with updates or in future releases. And that's what I'm saying, it gets really creepy when they all do the same kind of thing. And I don't know if that's just because it's trying to, like, capture a school effect thing, but, like, it looks really weird. Like, it's like an iRobot kind of, like, Terminator kind of thing in the crowd. It's really weird looking. So yeah, anyways, let's talk about more of what this game has to offer. So we got play now, so you go in, set up your matches. This is usually honestly where I spend most, if not, like, all of my time when I'm playing sports games. I just jump in, I do play now. That's my thing. Lots of people like different stuff. That's just what I've always enjoyed, is just diving in, and, that was a bad. I pressed X too late. Just kind of going in and then having some fun playing stuff, and setting up matches and seeing the different teams. And then you can have weathering, and the rain stuff looks really good. The snow stuff looks a little bit better. Looks like they're improving snow tech. Come on! The first, like, bit of my stream stuff, I wasn't doing any interceptions, and now I just can't seem to do anything but throw interceptions. I don't know what happened. And there's lots of difficulty options, different difficulty options you can choose from depending on your skill level. So you can make things easier or harder, and then there's sliders so you can adjust all that stuff. So it's very much your typical Madden setup. And I guess also just to talk about, like, the instrumental elements, it's kind of neat that the music and stuff that they use within the arenas is kind of like sort of capturing the ambience of not just, like, having random soundtracks and stuff in here, if that makes sense. So kind of appreciate that aspect of it. And I'm just, like, throwing this game here. Great. So, okay, play now, then we've got your online where you're competing against other people, so that's pretty straightforward too, right? And then we've got sort of like a dynasty kind of setup. So, like, it's pretty typical. You're building like a legacy. I can't believe that guy actually got that. So that's what's there. There's one where you can kind of like a road to glory. Recruit a winning roster of characters, athletes, and everything like that. Develop your coaching staff, lead your program to the championship. You can have a creative coach. You can do student athlete life. Bring home the Heisman Trophy. You can get hilariously awkward responses where you could end up. Well, I guess I haven't had them come across yet, but like you can get like blocked, I guess, by in-game virtual characters. See, this is what I talk about, the push-ups. Way too many push-ups. There's like pretty funny things where you try to like live the student life. It's not crazily in-depth in terms of like, because they've been there was this big push several years back now, I guess, where they were trying to introduce like story type stuff into the different sports games, like EA, like all the companies were kind of doing it, and then they sort of like let off of that, so it's kind of like, I wouldn't necessarily call it like a fully baked mode in terms of, you know, crazy in depth making your way through a career, but you do get to do a bit of a career path where you are, building your legacy while you're living the college life and stuff. So that can be kind of fun if you're like, into that kind of game mode. It's a neat sort of thing. It's a fun little option to have, and it just kind of lets you like basically live a personalized college life as it should. It's kind of a game mode that makes a lot of sense within this type of experience, which I think is kind of neat. So how far are we back? 4th and 1. I might as well just go for that extra yard, right? I mean, we definitely need a touchdown, you know what I'm saying? And it's a video game, so it doesn't hurt to always go for it all. Like right there, we got it. So that's kind of nice. Yeah, so not like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, there's a good amount of game modes. There's like practice stuff, and there's some like test grounds if you want to kind of get more familiar with, all of the elements of the overall game. So they have all that kind of baked in here. It's just sort of like, I guess you would take the sort of foundation and the framework of Madden, and they've kind of just focused it for now, I'm assuming, with the long-term plan being to grow this in terms of modes and stuff. Like, I think it's really a pretty strong starting point for this, because you gotta remember, like, the amount of work involved in, like, getting this together, getting all the schools, getting all the stadiums, everything like that. Like, it's a lot of actual work. Like, seriously, like an impressive amount. Oh, that was terrible. An impressive amount of work to get this all going, because I know it takes a lot of time and a lot of, well, basically manpower to kind of get this all going and off the ground. So I think we've got like a pretty strong foundation for them to really do some exciting stuff with in the future. Like, I really do like what they've put together. It's really fun to have, college football return. I think that in itself is really, really quite exciting because, as I said, it's been so long since this has been available. It's been like a really nice bit of nostalgia to come back and like play this again. Because it's sort of the spirit and the style of the game that I enjoyed quite a bit back in the day, and like I'm talking like the 2000s, the early 10s for college football and stuff like that. So it's kind of nice to return to that kind of vibe and see these teams playing and basically battling one another. It's really, really quite exciting because it's something that I kind of have, like, I guess apparently nostalgic and fond memories for, and then to see it brought back so many years later when you just kind of like, because you never know it's going to be the end of it, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, okay, so they're not doing any more, and then you're years and years and years gone by and you're just sort of missing the game and missing the style of it because it's something you used to play a lot of. It's a little little interesting that that has happened over the years. Yeah, because basically 10 years, that's a long time span. Like whole athletes and stuff have like come and gone, and everything's kind of like changed up over that time, and even the attitudes and the styles of how they do presentations and that have evolved. And just doing like a comparison between this and like the older NCAA's would be fascinating, just to see like the technical improvements, like the character models and stuff. I think look fantastic. I think Frostbite still kind of suffers though for like the character face models and stuff like that usually across the Frostbite engine, but that's been improving steadily too over the years, which I think is fantastic. But I mean, look at the vibe here. We've got like a cool setup. We're showing off the rain. I like to try to present the different types of like, I guess you would say, weathering conditions, if that makes sense, just to kind of like give you a full scope feel of always what these games have to offer. Just in case you see different things, like the water and the rain tech. Well, I mean they're one and the same, but you get what I mean. Like just seeing the droplets and how it sort of impacts the world, and it's really nice. Like the meshing, the grass, everything's nice and wet and just looks really realistic, which I think is fantastic. And then we also get to show off another team, which is good, so you're not seeing the same team. I mean, I would love to sit here and show you every single team that there is, but obviously that's not realistic, so I just show you like bits of different teams. I am seriously throwing like the worst. I'm getting worse and worse as the night kind of goes on, which is hilarious. I'm not even kidding, I was doing way better earlier. I think it's just you get kind of tired and it just sort of weighs you down, if that makes sense. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that wasn't very good. Holy. Need to do more running, I guess, at this point. I tell you, I was just really mowing it down. You can go watch my stream. I was really delivering, that's for sure. Now I'm just struggling. There is also snow, and snow they really seem to usually struggle with in terms of making it look realistic. I also forgot there's Ultimate Team, so you gotta get the cards. I mean, that's a pretty basic thing. I always forget about Ultimate Team, which is kind of funny, but yeah, you go and you do head-to-head seasons, solo challenges, building a roster. Yeah, very much your typical Ultimate Team, which has been available in quite a few of the different sports games from EA. Road to the college football playoffs, we talked about that. Yeah, that's kind of the scope of this one this year. Road to Glory, which we mentioned, Dynasty. Yeah, that covers basically all the features and stuff of the game. So I'd say, outside of the console crashing, which I would imagine they're probably going to fix, it's pretty well running. It looks good. It captures the spirit and the essence of the college football experience. Is there room for improvement? Yeah, and again, I'm definitely, to me, like, I'm willing to overlook things here or there and polishing things here or there, because I do know how much of a technical hurdle it is to actually get one of these sports games off the ground in the modern era, and I am expecting over time for them to continue to deliver like a well-polished, excellent experience. And it's kind of exciting to get back into the groove of the idea of like, hey, we're just going to be able to enjoy and play this sort of franchise for probably ever going forward, I would imagine. Because last time it was a dispute over, likenesses and stuff, and I'm assuming they wouldn't put in all this effort to bring the series back if they weren't confident that this is something that they could use in the long run, right? Because it is a lot of resources to get this going. And yeah, no, it's just a nice return after a decade. Seriously, like, a decade. It is a nice return to this. And I'm assuming a lot of people are going to be really excited, and I'm assuming a lot of people are going to be really happy with what this has to offer. I think there's a lot to enjoy here. I think there's a lot of modes for you to dive into. I am expecting over time we'll probably see more modes added to future entries, and they'll probably go more in depth on things, but as a starting point to rebuild this franchise, I think this is a really, really good start. I like what they put together. The visual quality is good. The gameplay is good. This is a great experience, and I think EA Sports nailed it.